Rosy Hardy Gardening. I'm here at the nursery, sitting on one of our electric buggies, which is brilliant because we do try and reuse stuff and have as many things that are not going to use chemicals or petrol or anything else like that. So this electric buggy is brilliant. Just want to go over when we first got here to the nursery, what happened, how we built it, and the idea behind how it all runs. So initially we bought ourselves 13 acres of ground. There was nothing here, it was just agricultural ground. We then got planning permission and we were able to set up the nursery. Initially, we had to put in some banking and put in native trees with a bit of native hedging around the banks. This was so that it could screen anything that we put up in the way of polythene tunnels or buildings around the site. We only grow on the top third of the land that we have. And what we have on the other bits of land is we have 2 paddocks, which a local farmer looks after. And in rent for that, he cuts our hedges, which works perfectly well. We also have 2 beautiful copses. Both of them have got hazel in them, which we do coppice probably less regularly than they would be if they were going to be used for charcoal or all that sort of thing, but it still maintains that coppice feel, and we have some lovely old mature trees. Then the nursery itself, this is a very windy site. We're exposed, so it's really, really good to have the trees initially. Also, it is a gradient on the site, so where the polythene tunnels are, going right the way down to the bottom area of the nursery, is probably a fall of around about 1 metre or 3 feet, which is great. You've got that gradual drop, which means that the drainage goes down. This is really excellent for us because it means that plants do not sit in water. We don't put anything into the ground. Everything is in containers, sitting on top of black sheeting matting, and that is directly onto our very chalky soils here in North Hampshire. That means that we are restricted to some of the plant material that we can grow, but that's ideal for us because the majority of herbaceous perennials are really happy in a slightly alkaline situation. We then have decided, once we had set out all of our rows, and our rows are all about 3.5 to 4 metres where we're standing out area, then we have pathways, and then we have more, and we have 3 sections going down. This makes it very easy. It means that our top section can be our smaller pots, our next 2 sections can be our larger pots, but we realised quite early on that we needed windbreaks within the middle of the actual nursery. Now, a lot of nurseries consider using poplar or alder as their windbreaks, but I actually wanted to use something different. I wanted it to be multi-purpose, so not only were they trees that we put in that were going to be a good windbreak and also give us a bit of shade for part of laying out the plant material, but also using something that was going to be good for wildlife. So we've used ornamental crab apples. So they have 3 different types of crab apple. That means we get beautiful blossom in the spring and it looks really, really pretty around the nursery. That encourages a lot of pollinators in. And then when they produce their crabs in the autumn, we get flocks of birds, migrating birds coming in and feeding on their way south to go and do their hibernation in a different area. So this is really, really good and it's great. And we also have some willow leaf pear, and that is just another ornamental in there, and it just creates that bit of windbreak, which is brilliant for us, just a little bit of more protection for the plants. The polythene tunnels, we tend to have material in here. We hand water everything. That saves on water because you get a loss if you have overhead, but also it means that each plant gets the amount of water that it really wants, so we're keeping that quite low. We do actually run on mains water, which means we pay for every single litre. That makes us even more aware and acutely aware of how much water we are actually putting onto our plants. As I said, we have electric buggies. That is really, really good. And we try very much not to use any sprays at all. Inside the tunnels, we are using biological controls. So that is utilising insects which are then going to prey on other insects. And it's a really, really great way of controlling pests and disease within the nursery and within the tunnel itself. What else can I say? We have managed to make sure that we allow wildlife from outside to come in. We have really good birds, we have frogs, we have newts, we have toads, and they all help with looking after and the biological control here on the nursery itself. Everything we try to have outside for as long as possible, growing plant material how it should be in the natural world, not being forced on, and that makes them much better plants for you to have at home in your garden. I hope this just gives you a little insight into how the nursery is laid out and why we have done certain things here. Thank you very much for listening, and please do subscribe to the channel.